So here, taking a closer look at this case, you can see that I bought a custom knob, so it's easy access to get to the inside of the case. You just twist this off. Then once that comes off, you can put it to the side. As I mentioned before, it slides right out. I have 4 motherboard mounts in there so that it can rest. And then I have the power button slot right there. And that's where the power button, which I have right here in my hand, is going to go. Yeah. Right here, this is where the power button is going to go. Or right there is where the power button is going to go. Just slide it in there and then you clamp it shut. I had to cut a hole in this so that the motherboard bracket piece would fit in. The tricky part about this is in metalworking, it's much easier to cut on the outside than to cut in the inside. But I took my time and I did it the longer way so it would come out more accurate. It was a better call, but it took me a long time just to cut this. I know it probably doesn't look like that, but take a while. And as I mentioned before, I don't know if you could see clearly, but if you look underneath the lip here, there are 3 railings which guide the top. Alright, now onto the components which I chose. This is the motherboard that I chose. I currently have an Intel Core i5. It's the newest processors out there. It's a very powerful processor, but the thing is, it was too powerful for the power supply I bought. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I have 8 gigs of RAM in here, and then this is the Core i5 2500K processor, which I have installed. And this is the specialty power supply that I bought. If you know anything about power supplies, you know that they're usually much bigger. I'll get you a closer look. But those are the chips on the supply. You plug this right into the motherboard, and that should be it. I've tried using this computer with a regular power supply. It works beautifully. And at this point, I'm thinking that the reason why this doesn't work is that the processor that I have, which takes 95 watts, is either too powerful for the power supply or the power cord that I bought. The power cord that I have is basically a laptop cord that I bought off eBay. It looks exactly like the power cord for a laptop, and that is 120 watts. This is 160 watts. The processor I have is 95 watts. So I probably didn't give enough buffer space because someone informed me that there's a GPU integrated within the processor that I have, which takes at least 35 watts. I'm sure it fluctuates as you're doing more intense stuff. But yeah, I guess I just taken the fact that just having a 125 watt max, that's the max for my adapter, wouldn't be enough. So I think I'm just going to buy a new processor for this build and replace it. This one cost me $160, so I'm kind of reluctant to go out and spend more money right now. But eventually I plan on changing that. And the biggest difference that I noticed in the computers that I currently have and this one, which is much, much faster, would probably be due to the stable state hard drive. These are the new hard drives out. They're going to be the wave of the future. But these drives have no moving parts in them, so they boot up much quicker. Once you start your computer, what slows it down from starting right away is that it has to read your hard drive. And in the normal hard drive, that means it has to spin up, it has to warm up and get ready. So with this has this computer booting up within 15 to 20 seconds. It's very fast. And when I say boot up, I don't mean you see the Windows loading screen. I mean, it's fully functional, ready to use, your web browsing, you're playing games, whatever you want. And this is only a 30 gig hard drive because currently those are very expensive compared to spinning hard drives. As the technology becomes more popular, which I know it will, you're going to see this in the all your computers. All right, now this part here, this is actually the wireless USB adapter that I bought. Being such a small computer, I thought it would be really cool if it would be portable in a way where you could take it somewhere, and as long as you have a screen, you could use this computer. So I bought this USB wireless thing. It's called a micro one because it's so small. Right there. It's called micro because it's so small. Let me adjust the focus real quick. Yeah. So yeah, it's very tiny. It does the job very well for what I need. It doesn't have the best range, but like I said, if you're in an area that's relatively close to a wireless adapter, it works fine. But also, there are internet plugs, so if you're not near a wireless adapter, just plug it right in. Works fine, just like a regular desktop. All right, and the last piece that I want to talk about is this fan. This is the intake fan that I was talking about earlier. I plan on mounting it right there because heat is such a big issue, and I've taken apart enough laptops to know that once things start to overheat, it's just downhill from there. Parts are going to start to desolder themselves from the board once it gets so hot. So I just want to avoid that completely. I chose to make such big holes over aesthetically pleasing things because I'm more focused on the usefulness of this. And to me, it's the smallest computer I've ever owned. Well, let me rephrase that. It's the smallest desktop I've owned. I've had a netbook was smaller than this, of course, but it wasn't nearly as powerful. This is a full-fledged desktop computer. All right, and that ends this walkthrough of the miniature desktop that I built. Hopefully this catches on in the future. I have not been able to find any cases where people sell without an 3.5-inch bay. I don't need those bays. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. 3.5-inch are for the big hard drives. I meant 5.25-inch bay. Those are the CD drives. I don't need them. I don't want them. All right, thanks.